Yes, we are connected, but is that also translating to empathy?
It's tragic that that people don't have this kind of like holistic view of the world and their place in it. I want to break that barrier down.
Technology on its own cannot do it, but technology enables it.
Moving to Japan was a challenge for sure. If I had known how challenging it was, maybe I might have thought twice, but knowing me, probably not. There's a lot of nuanced rules in culture and also business culture in Japan. For example, when you sit down at a table, the business card is super important. The most important person always has to sit on one side, furthest away from the door, and then the party, the most important person from their side, has to sit opposite them, again, furthest away from the door. And you all exchange business cards, and then you put your business cards down on the table in the right order so that you know who you should refer to. Running into those kinds of situations over and over again, I think was the impetus to start this company.
Growing up, I never had the opportunity to travel. I don't think I got on a flight to anywhere till I was about 24 years old. The biggest change that I found in myself as I started traveling were the experiences that made me rethink everything. Along came the pandemic. All of us in the tourism industry realized for the first time how unsustainable the tourism model is. If you look at the number of jobs that have been lost in tourism, we cite about 120 million jobs having been lost. We are not talking about communities that have been impacted because of the lack of footfall. We are not talking about local art forms that will probably die off because local artists, for lack of appreciation, will start going on to other means.
Smart Tutor is a learning platform where individuals can enter a safe virtual space and interact with artificial intelligence to improve their communication. Content on the platform is really focused just on learning English and in the context of business. And in terms of localization, we've localized it really for the Japanese audience.
Globe from Home is basically a channel through which you can experience the world.
We are a rescue center located in Costa Rica. Most of the threats that sloths are facing right now are because of human actions. For example, the forest fires, the illegal pet market, or even the infrastructure is causing a very strong effect in this kind of animals. So that is why we need to focus on the conservation of the animals that we are affecting.
We are trying to take away the limitations of real physical travel. Yemen has seen conflict for the last 5 years. Before the conflict, you had a lot of women who were making handicrafts and they were selling it on to tourists that visited. Now for the last few years, because of the conflict, there is no opportunity for them to actually come out and sell it to anybody. With Globe from Home, viewers or travelers will now be able to kind of get onto a session, learn about Yemen, have a tour, and also appreciate the handicraft and have the opportunity to buy a product from the destination if you like.
Our larger goal is to bridge global communication gaps, not just with language, but also with culture. And this was born out of the direct experience that me and my co-founder have had working in many different countries.
One of our missions is to broaden people's horizons, especially that of children. So when you take these experiences into schools, it's very important that children are able to connect and stay excited on an online medium.
Oh, hey Raj.
I'm loving the look of the future.
I'm super interested in what you're doing too. I read a little bit about your virtual tours and they sound very close to what we're trying to create as well. And what we're trying to do is use virtual reality to scale education technology But what we really want to scale is human quality teachings. These are the kinds of things that could really improve people's lives. So it's not just about education. It's also about being the best version of yourself and allowing computers and AI to use your own data in a secure way to help you plus yourself. So we call it plus one. For me, plus one means you are yourself plus one, plus yourself.
Your AI actually detects human emotion and tries to respond based on that. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. So we're collecting all this different rich human interaction data in real time. As an example, eye contact. Communication is also very nuanced. It's not just about what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. When our human students are avoiding eye contact, the AI starts to mirror them and mimic them. So it will start looking at its watch, or if you're really kind of low energy, the AIs will start to yawn. And so it's kind of like tries to give you the cues that are realistic to understand your performance. I'd like to turn it around because we right now don't really have this online component of human-to-human interaction. I'm actually really curious about what is the experience like?
Travel is about human-to-human interaction more than anything else. Your tour presenter doesn't just kind of show you the sights, but there is always a stop to wait and talk to somebody local as you would do in the real world. In the case of children, there is always a big focus on getting children to talk to children at the other destination, and we are experimenting with loads of ideas on that.
As-salam alaikum.
Al-salam alaikum.
Yes, that's great.
Yes, it's good, it's right.
One of the students connecting with a student from Sri Lanka, and it was actually through football, and realizing that their favorite footballer was exactly the same. And it was Messi, and they absolutely loved Messi. Came from two different continents, but this one player had united them. That empathy that the students would then have for each other is something that can't be measured.
How do you see the future of what you're doing for education, for knowledge basically? How do you kind of see it being applied in terms of creating more empathy and more knowledge amongst students in the future?
We're facing a lot of challenges now that go beyond religion or race or country. I'm talking about the situations like running out of energy on our planet, running out of food on our planet, climate change. These types of problems will require people to work together at a scale that has never existed before if we're going to solve them.
We all talk about climate change as an issue that needs to be addressed, but yet it's somebody else's problem, because ultimately, what we focus on is what is in front of us.
Global warming has had a terrible impact here in Australia. As we saw recently in Australia, there was these devastating bushfires that wiped out, thousands of acres of bushland and destroyed plants and animals and livestock and human lives were lost too. So it's been very devastating in Australia, and one of the things that I communicate in my tours is the impact that bushfires have on local communities and the local environment.
We are trying to reimagine the future of a travel industry. We are also trying to reimagine a future in terms of knowledge. Even those of us who have studied about these things don't really kind of connect to it till we actually are there. I mean, I can relate a personal experience. I've been reading about and I've been very interested in the history in World War II and the Holocaust. I happened to be in Krakow, and I remember this particular tour where we went around the camps.
In 1941, they put one of the main entrances of the ghetto facing this square, and the deportations took place here.
We were in stunned silence.
We have 68 chairs, so more or less, you can see. Yes, 68 chairs, because we had 68,500 Jewish people living in Krakow.
The understanding and the reading that came from books did not compare.
Immersion really facilitates learning in several ways. The most important is that you have cross-sensory input. You see something and you can hear it. When you combine those different simultaneous experiences together, it really helps your brain to encode information and also helps you to recall it faster. These new technologies can open a window for many of these beautiful young, bright minds that maybe don't have access to, education or can't afford to travel, to a fancy college or anything like that, but that education can be delivered directly to them, and that we'll be able to find, the future Einsteins. Frankly, we have to step it up if we're going to survive another few hundred years.
Unless we step out of our individual sort of satellite countries and continents and cocoons, unless we have a global narrative on important issues, we are not going to solve humanity's problems.
Once you get to high school and college, the nature of education becomes very less about play and interaction and more about test taking and scores. They have this saying here, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. It's a very harsh way to be introduced to sort of the adult world, and we really want to disrupt that.
Just a school-based education or university-based education alone does not prepare you for the future. You need to have a worldview to take control of the future, which is quite unpredictable at the moment. We are all kind of in an education system where we want kids to follow a particular route to get to a set destination, whereas the possibilities of what they could do as global citizens are endless.